S23 Ultra versus the A54. Not quite an Ultra. So I want to talk about this because we really have two majorly different phones here. We have the top of the line, best Android phone you can basically buy in the world, S23 Ultra, $1,199. Then we have the Samsung Galaxy A54, which costs a whopping $449. A lot of differences, but there's an important reason I want to talk about this because a lot of folks, they really only want to get a flagship phone, or maybe they can't afford a flagship phone and they really want one. So the idea of getting something like the Samsung Galaxy A54 might be a big turnoff and you might not be interested. But there are similarities here, and considering basically the economy's terrible, has been for quite a while, and not everybody can afford or wants to go out and buy $1,000, $1,200 phone, wants something that's good, wants something that's serviceable. So how do they stack up? How do they compare in day-to-day usage? And is it something that's actually a decent phone worth considering? I'm going to answer those questions in this video. So when you look at them side by side, what are you actually getting for all the extra money? Like, what are you getting if you pay $11.99 versus $449? Like, is it really basically worth the extra $750 to buy this versus this? Well, in day-to-day usage, you would be surprised. The A54 actually has a very enjoyable experience. Largely, a lot of the stuff you're paying for when it comes to a flagship level phone, one, you're paying for the horsepower. So underneath the hood, in the S23 Ultra, you've got the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2, probably the best chip that Qualcomm has ever made. And then you have the Exynos 1380, made by Samsung, in their Samsung phone. Not really anywhere near the best chipset that's ever been made, but it's very serviceable for day-to-day stuff. So if you're just listening to Spotify, if you're just using Twitter, YouTube, social media stuff, Instagram, TikTok, it's very, very good phone for a lot of folks. And here's the thing. Yes, it's $449 MSRP. They've got some trade-in deals, and you're probably never going to pay that price for it. There's a lot of great stuff. You sign on, try and go to different carriers. You can find ways to get them cheaper, and the price will drop probably pretty quickly because that's how Samsung rolls. They like to do deals and all that jazz. So day-to-day performance, for most stuff, it's fine. Are you going to be able to do high-level gaming? No. Is it great at multitasking? No. Is it something I'd really recommend running a business on? No. But you can do a lot of good things, and it's got a 5,000 milliamp battery. When you look at both of these phones, they have the same size battery, 5,000 milliamp. Now, when you look at some of the extra stuff, you get the extra luxury stuff, right? This phone's made out of plastic with some glass on it. This one's made out of aluminum with some nicer glass on it. So we've got Gorilla Glass Victus Plus versus we've got Gorilla Glass 5 over here, which Gorilla Glass 5 is perfectly fine. Like, it's serviceable. It does the job, right? But when you're paying for materials, yes, premium materials cost more. So this is considered a premium phone. This is more like the mid-tier segment. So there are going to be some compromises. Yes, this one has a 50 megapixel camera, a 200 megapixel camera. You can see that they both have three main cameras on the back. Ultra wide. This one has an ultra wide, but also has the telephoto. The A54 doesn't have telephoto. It has a 5 megapixel macro. So it has a dedicated macro camera, whereas this one uses one of the other cameras, the ultra wide, actually works some crazy different way and takes macro photos. So camera compatibility. When you talk about both of them, they both take pretty good pictures. I was surprised. So I took some photos with the A54, and it really surprised me how well they turned out. It is a little bit more on the saturated side. They do that. That's like kind of like a little thing they add on there that Samsung does. It makes it seem more premium because the colors are stronger. They pop out more. It looks very vibrant. So when your eyes see something that looks more vibrant, might not necessarily be as true to life, but it really does catch your eye, and it's like, wow, that's a really appealing photo. So it kind of gives it a plus up and makes it look better than it actually is, but it does take some pretty good photos. And I even did a selfie video camera sample with this the other day, and I was really surprised. Like, I made a short out of it, a TikTok video. It really caught me off guard. Now, is it as good as the S23 Ultra? No, it's not. Does it have the pro capabilities? No, it doesn't. Does it have an S Pen that you can use for a remote shutter? No, it doesn't. So we get into that stuff. There's a reason why this is an Ultra. One, it basically has everything, the kitchen sink in it from a pro level perspective. It doesn't have everything though. People associate Ultra with everything, like there's no IR blaster, there's no headphone jack, there's no expandable storage in the S23 Ultra. And most of that's not in the A54 either, but it does have expandable SD card slot. The SIM tray, you can actually put an SD card in there as well. So that's pretty nice. So even though it starts off with 128 gigabytes of storage, you don't necessarily have to get a higher model to get more storage because you can put an SD card in. So that's nice. Now, right off the bat, 8 gigabytes of RAM in the S23 Ultra, 6 gigs in the A54. Now, you can actually get more RAM. You can get a higher RAM model. You can go up to 8 gigabytes in this. This one goes up to 12. But also, this one goes up to 1 terabyte. So if you want a massive amount of storage, you can get a 1 terabyte S23 Ultra. So what are some other things that you get with the S23 Ultra? Well, we talked about Gorilla Glass Victus Plus. You get a curved edge display, so it's slightly curved around the edges. Some people like that, some people don't. It's typically been something in the past that's associated with more premium. They put them on their higher level phones. It's been something Samsung's done for a long time. 6.8-inch screen. So you get a higher level of brightness on this one, much brighter than the A54 screen. A54 screen, totally serviceable. It's very, very good. It's as good as flagship screens on brightness as of like 2 or 3 years ago. So you're not really missing out there, but Samsung goes out of the way to give this one higher peak brightness. It goes up to 1750 nits. So that's really, really bright. But they both look okay outside. So you're not really missing out a whole lot there. You have a better selfie camera on here. So it's actually interesting because megapixels are something usually folks associate with quality. 200 megapixel camera on the back, 12 megapixel camera on the front. So it's one of those things where you look at it and you go, okay, do I need all those megapixels? And no, not really, you don't. And it's not something, I don't want to get into it too much in this video, but there are benefits to having larger megapixels, but they're very, very small. And they require a lot of other things, like a good image signaling processor. You need a good processor to be able to handle it. How much of the computational photography is going on. So this one, 50 megapixel camera, it takes pretty good photos. Does that mean it takes like 1/4 of the quality of the photos of the 200 megapixel camera over here? No, it doesn't. But with the added pixel capability and some of the other things, you get better low light photos, and you get some other good HDR qualities, and you get some really nice stuff you can print out for large canvases. And overall, you really need a lot of horsepower to process all of the pixels, and it gives you a lot more depth whenever you're zooming in digitally. So the 200 megapixel camera on here is very good. 50 megapixel on here is good. That's fine. But it's funny because on here, the A54, you have a 32 megapixel camera versus the 12. Now, is it better than the one on the S23 Ultra? No, it's not. But they're both very good. They're very serviceable. If you want to pick this up and use this for most things day to day, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to get some good quality photos on here, but you're going to be limited to 4K 30 frames per second on the front video, which is perfectly fine, by the way. And on the S23 Ultra, you can get 8K video on the back and 4K 60 on the front and the back, which is really nice, high quality, super premium, all those things. So you've probably heard there's quite a few similarities when it comes to the numbers, and the numbers don't always matter that much. We got the same size storage. We've got big screens. They're both AMOLED displays. Now, you get a 6.4-inch display over here, 6.8-inch display right here. So you get a bigger display, you get a higher resolution. So more pixels per inch on the screen. A54, 1080p. S23 Ultra, Quad HD Plus, 1440p resolution. So higher quality, more pixels. That means a larger screen with more pixels. You're going to get a higher quality image. They're both 120 hertz refresh rates. And you can actually turn this one down to 1080p, help save on the battery life a little bit, and you can go that route if you want to. I rock the 1440p Quad HD Plus, but hey, you always have choice, and choice is nice. So that's kind of the difference in the screens there. Brighter, higher resolution, a little bit more flexibility. It's a little bit higher quality display on the screen. But from what I've learned with my experience, the display on the A54 is quite nice. It looks good, vibrant colors, AMOLED display, pretty good brightness. You're not really missing out on a whole lot if you don't want to spend the extra $750. So one thing that's a major difference. So you get a little more horsepower under the hood whenever you have a big, powerful processor. So you've got the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2. That helps out a lot with a lot of the machine learning, the AI, the computational photography stuff. Helps do those things faster, seamlessly, builds up less heat, and it can do it without draining the battery as much. So those are some big benefits you get also for gaming. If you're interested in gaming or multitasking, you're going to want the S23 Ultra or an S23 quality phone as opposed to the A54. A54 is very good for daily, menial stuff, nothing that requires a whole lot of power, just kind of surface level things. If you just take pictures, make phone calls, send text messages, use WhatsApp, like to do some video calling, just want some GPS, you just want to do social media, some light gameplay. If you just want to get something like this and you feel like you need this, you can save yourself $700 and go the A54 route. And it looks very premium. It's a sharp looking phone. I mean, for having a mid-series level, kind of upper level budget phone, it looks really, really nice. I mean, it doesn't really look less quality wise than what you have over here. We just know that based off of what's under the hood, what the quality of the materials are, and what extra features you get, there's a reason this costs more. You get the S Pen curved edge display, more cameras, more high quality cameras that are more capable of doing extra things, different features, different stabilizations, and all sorts of different things like that. So if you really care about photography, really care about video, really want that expanded like nighttime stuff, they got the nightography that Samsung calls it, better for nighttime photography, better for skin tones, better for nighttime. Yeah, that's what a lot of that stuff is that you get here. So you get this whole array of camera-based stuff that you can do on here. You can reach out and touch stuff. You can do the 100x zoom, reach out, take your pictures of the moon. You can't do all that over here. But that's okay, because if you don't care about that stuff, why pay the extra money? You don't need to feel compelled to go out and buy a much more expensive phone. So that's kind of the whole basis of this video. Like I just wanted to make a video to talk about the similarities, because a lot of people, they may not be educated. They may not have all the background knowledge that a lot of the experienced tech enthusiasts that watch some of my videos. You might look at it and go, hey, I was just talking to the salesman, and the salesman's like, oh yeah, you should get the S23 Ultra. It's the best one out of the market. Well, yeah, that's fine, but it's a little bit different than when you're buying like phones and like buying cars. And go with me on this. So like if you go to a car lot, you might not necessarily have a $50,000 car and a $15,000 car in the same category. You might not be shopping for the same stuff. But when you go into a phone, like you go into a phone store, you're going to have a $300-400 phone, and they're going to have a $1,200 phone. And the salesman is probably going to be like, you should totally buy the S23 Ultra. You can afford it. 3 years of financing, pay $40 a month. Do you need that? Well, you may not know. You may find that this works just as well for you, and that you can do all the things that I've talked about in this video. You can take good photos with it. You can do some decent video with it. You can use it for all your social media stuff. It's actually got pretty capable selfie camera stuff. If you want to do your TikToks, your Instagram reels, you can play some light games on here. You can play Boom Beach till, the cows come home and lots of other stuff too. So you're not really missing out on a whole lot from a day-to-day perspective that doesn't have the extra pro caliber stuff if you want to get something like this. And me, I understand that I can probably be a little bit snobbish sometimes when it comes to phones, because I typically like to focus on flagships. That's what I like. And I don't really delve into the budget stuff a whole lot. So, I don't want to be insensitive to the budget market. I'm trying to cover some more of it here and there. I bought the A54 with my own money so I could test it out. And I found that as I've used it, it actually works out pretty good. Yes, it has an Exynos 1380, but is that necessarily bad? Not really, because it gets you 6, 7, maybe 8 hours of screen on time on the maximum. It gives you all day battery life, competent for video, actually surprisingly good video, better than I thought. It takes pretty decent photos, and it's got a nice screen. And normally when you have cheaper phones like this, you don't get a great screen. So the screen is something that Samsung's really put a lot of effort into, especially with the 120 hertz refresh rate. It has a under the screen fingerprint sensor. Now, it's not the ultrasonic one that's more secure and is better like the one in the S23 Ultra, but it's quite good and it works just fine. So you've got under the screen fingerprint sensor, you've got facial recognition. They're both supported for the same amount of time. Yes, they're both supported for 5 years. 4 years of operating system updates, 5 years of security patches. They're both running One UI 5.1. So that's the whole thing. A lot of people that go into the store, they want to go buy a phone and they don't want to spend a ton of money. That's another consideration. How long is it going to last? This phone is supported for 5 years. So you can spend $449 and get a phone that's supported for 5 years and does most of the stuff that you probably want to do. And it's got a nice size screen. It's not too small, it's not too big, and you can get some decent accessories for it, fairly inexpensive. You can check those out on Amazon, and I've got some links in the description if you want to check that out. Now, If you want to go the S23 route, you certainly can. There are folks out there who have no business buying a $1,200 phone. But there are also people that could probably work just as well driving a Toyota Corolla that want to go buy a Mercedes. You can buy whatever you want. Like, that's between you and your pocketbook and your spouse, if you've got one that's worried about your bank account. Does everybody need an S23 Ultra? No, they don't. But there are some people that just want the best. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's one thing Samsung's really good at doing, is providing different opportunities, different alternatives, making premium quality, good looking, fashionable, lower quality phones, but also making the top of the line best of the best. So that's why I wanted to make this video. Yes, we all know about the S23 Ultra. You've probably seen a lot of videos on it. It's a fantastic phone. I think it's the best Samsung phone they've ever made. I think it's the best Samsung phone on the market right now. But does that mean you need to go spend $1,200? No, it doesn't. You certainly can. And if that's what you want to do, I support you. Go get the best phone you can possibly get the color you want, and enjoy it. That's what phones are meant for. Yes, we use them for leisure, we use them for play, we use them for work, but ultimately you carry around a phone all day, every day. You want something that's going to be reliable, that's going to last, you can enjoy. And that's the great thing about both of these phones, is I think that you have reliability, you have performance, and you have capabilities, but at different price points that are very well reflective at their price points, $449 and $1199. So I know this is not the flashiest video. I know there's not a whole lot of B-roll. I know it doesn't look like a home shopping network video, but I really wanted to make this because I was sitting there and I'm like, you know what? As I've been using the A54, I've been testing it out for the last week. It's had some surprising moments where I thought, you know what? That's pretty neat. I did not expect this to perform that well. There's been some surprises, especially with like how nice the screen looks and the battery life actually lasts all day, and some like the video. I didn't expect the selfie video to be that good. So that's all I got in this video. I know you might look at it at first and say, yeah, this is a bit far-fetched out there, but this is not a comparison versus video saying, okay, which one's better? Clearly we know which one's better. The S23 Ultra is better. Like, that's not what this is about. It's about sitting down, looking at both of them objectively, talking about some of the features, discussing the price points and the costs, and saying, okay, this one might work better for me, and it fits my budget, it fits my lifestyle, it gives me the support and the longevity and the peace of mind that I want at the price I can afford. So that's all I got in this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. Hopefully it was entertaining enough. I know I don't make the most entertaining videos, but I'm here to give you information and give you value and try and give you something that helps out, especially in places that I see that maybe might not be covered so well out there on the internet. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, please go down in the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, if you found this helpful, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you guys next time.